I'm planning a trip to Greece next year. I don't know any Greek whatsoever. I don't know anything related to Greek. With any desire or interest in learning a language, the first thing that you need to do is you need to come up with a plan. You need to come up with strategies, what you're going to study, when you're going to study, how you're going to study, all that good stuff. And because this is not only a huge step that most people miss, but also nobody teaches you how to do this, except, spoiler alert, me. I'm going to take you through how I'm going to decide to learn Greek because I literally have no idea right now. So I'm going to sit with my camera on and I'm going to come up with some sort of plan to learn Greek. I'm going to teach you what my thinking is, why I'm thinking certain ways, what my intentions are. Maybe you can learn how to plan your own language learning better. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I am actually going to go to my language app search. If you're not familiar with it, it's linked down in the description, totally free. It basically connects to all of my language app reviews, which there are a lot, and it organizes them by language level, all sorts of stuff. So I'm going to take you through that. So here we are at my language app search, really simple, multilingualmastery.com/search. First off, I'm going to go to this left-hand corner here, target language, and I'm going to type in Greek. There are 27 resources on my language app search that teach Greek. Perfect. Okay, let's narrow it down a little bit. So I am a total beginner. I know nothing. So I'm going to start with beginner. Now this has a couple of options. The next step that is really important is to be very clear about what your goals are for learning the language. So for me personally, with Greek, I want to get a general idea of the language. I don't need to have like textbook vocabulary, some simple conjugations if conjugations are a thing. Basically, when I go to Greece next year, I want to be able to like read signs and get a general idea of what the signs are, have basic conversations with people and feel confident and comfortable in being able to say like a few key phrases. I don't need to have whole conversations. I mean, if my plans change and I decide that I want to have a more deeper understanding of the language, that could totally happen and I'm not against that. But right now, I just want to stick to the basics because no experience with Greek. I don't know the alphabet. I know absolutely nothing, basically. So I am starting out small. That said, we scroll down and we see the skills. Now, what skills are important to me? Like I said, the Greek alphabet is brand new to me, so I want to work on reading. I basically want to be able to, like I said, look at it and like get a general gist of what's going on. Listening and speaking are probably important to me too. Just because I tend to favor listening more, so I generally have the problem where I can understand a lot more than I can say. So listening is like kind of my comfort. Speaking, I do have to put a little bit more effort into that, and knowing that about myself, I can plan for it a little bit in this like right now when I'm trying to figure out what resources I'm going to use and how often I'm going to use them and all that kind of stuff. So I want to put speaking in there just to make sure that I'm intentional of making sure that I'm actually trying it a little bit because I have a major tendency to just avoid it at all costs. Here's our list so far. We have Preply, Ling, UTalk, Language Pod, Mondly, Mango, Pencil, Verbling. Now, that is a lot, and fortunately for me, I made all these language app reviews, so I know my personal opinions about them, and I have a much better idea of what to expect, so I'm not gonna have to, go in through these blog posts as deeply as you might have to, because you're not me. I can narrow it down and, speed up this process a little bit. So Preply, Preply, whatever it is, ethically I'm against this platform, so I know I'm not going to use it, but it is good for conversations. You get private tutors on there, but I'm not going to use it just for ethical concerns personally. Let's see. Ling might be interesting to start with. I know that Ling is similar to Duolingo in that it's, fun, easy, which, side note, I took a look at Duolingo for Greek like yesterday, a couple days ago, and every single time I try Duolingo, I'm disappointed because it was so focused on A and O, which are like literally English letters. And there was one Greek letter that it just kind of like showed a little bit, but all the time was like, oh, which letter is A? It was A. Which letter is O? It was O. So it just frustrated me. Anyways, it's fun, it's light, it's easy. It's very good for basics, simple statements. Just I'm looking through this blog post because I literally don't remember, and that's why I use this. This is partly why I made this language app search, because I can't hold all of these different resources in my brain. I have to write them down so I can go through and like remember what these things even are. Implicit grammar lessons I really like. Implicit grammar lessons are basically just kind of like you're picking up the grammar naturally. And this is perfectly fine for me. If I wanted some more advanced grammar, implicit wouldn't work, because it's basically when you have grammar concepts that you can't just figure out, you have to be taught. You have to be explicitly taught, explicitly understand the concept of the grammar, and explicitly like learn it with drills, and it's like a whole thing. Implicitly, it's just the kind of stuff that you can kind of feel around and kind of figure out generally. And it's generally the beginner stuff. So that I'm happy with. There's also some speaking practice. Okay, so Ling's approach to learning languages includes their dedication to the 4 language skills. Okay, I like this. Okay, let's look at the speech recognition here.
12. Elle vient d'Allemagne. Vous êtes un homme.
Okay, I like that because, like I said, I want to feel generally comfortable with simple statements, at least at first. If, you know, down the road that changes and I want something more like more conversational, then I can totally do that. But for right now, this is definitely a contender. Oh, they also have chatbot conversations, which is a step further. It's basically those same phrases, except you say the phrase and the chatbot like says the next phrase in the conversation, like, hello, how are you? My name is Jamie. What is your name? My name is Beth, or whatever, you know? Ling is very beginner, so I think I like it. Ling is definitely on the list. Let's see what else I have. I know for myself, I don't really like Language Pod 101. It's like the basics of Language Pod 101 is that it is a podcast. And I personally don't really enjoy podcasts very much, so I know personally that I can skip it. Mondly, I also remember Mondly is just a little too slow for me, a little too simplistic. I get bored. Mango Languages, okay, Mango Languages, if I remember correctly, it's not bad. I believe it might also be too slow for me. My comprehension, my listening comprehension in general is, I feel like it's a lot faster than a lot of people's. So a lot of language learning apps and resources go slow enough for most beginners, but in general, like even in English, my listening comprehension is really fast. So I struggle with like finding resources that either are sped up or I have the option to speed it up. Okay, I'm remembering like Mango Languages. It didn't make logical sense to me. It definitely felt like it was just kind of random for me. It's pretty and I like it aesthetically, which is good. It just did not work the way my brain does. So we're gonna axe Mango Languages. What's next? Pimsleur. Pimsleur is again very boring for me personally. It's very slow and it's all audio based, nothing visual. And I get bored, I get distracted, I lose focus. I can't maintain motivation with Pimsleur. Verbling is good for in the future when I am better at speaking and I want to improve my ability. Same thing with italki. It's like Preply, Preply, meeting up with language tutors. Let's load more. Duolingo. I've already said my piece about Duolingo. I tend to try Duolingo at first when I'm like experimenting and thinking about trying different languages, and every single time I'm disappointed. Every single time. And that's really frustrating because Duolingo has so much potential, but as time goes on, it gets worse and worse for language learners. Rosetta Stone. Okay. So I'm very familiar with Rosetta Stone just because it's like, it is a really big popular platform for many language learners. Rosetta Stone is perfect for beginners who want to get really functional in language really quickly. So that makes me think that Rosetta Stone might be an option for me for Greek right now. I really like how Rosetta Stone, it doesn't stick you on one path. You can skip lessons, you can repeat lessons, you can do whatever lessons you want at whatever time. And that's different from Duolingo. One of the things that's really frustrating for me with Duolingo is that you have the one path and that's the only option that you have. And that kills my motivation, kills it. If an app is going to force me to do something a different way, or like isn't going to be flexible to what my brain needs at any given time, I'm gonna lose interest. So Rosetta Stone, I know that it's very flexible. You have the lessons, and you can take whichever lessons for whichever skills whenever you want. And I do like how Rosetta Stone is actually really hard for beginners, honestly. And there's speaking, there's listening, there's all the different language skills. Oh, but it's repetitive. I forgot that. Rosetta Stone can get very repetitive. But because it's Greek, which I'm not familiar with at all, that might actually be a benefit. When I try and use Rosetta Stone for like Spanish or French or other Romance languages, I get very, very frustrated just because I pick it up a lot quicker. With Greek, it might not be a problem because I'm completely new to the language. I'll have to look to see how much Rosetta Stone has for Greek because I know that different languages have different like amounts. Like the Romance languages are much more popular and therefore they have a lot more lessons. Once I'm done going through this initial search, I'll have to look to see how many lessons Rosetta Stone has for Greek and how that compares to Ling. Okay, so Ling and Rosetta Stone so far. Language transfer is, again, it's like it's just audio. So step 1 is complete. I have taken my general goals for my language and I have looked at what options there are. And that isn't to say that there are no other options. There are so many other different options. This is just a starting point, right? What I'm gonna do next is I'm going to, well, first of all, I need to look at Rosetta Stone and see if Rosetta Stone offers like a lot of Greek or a little bit of Greek. And depending on what that option is, that might change my approach. Because if it turns out Greek has like 2 lessons, I might just take those 2 lessons and move on. And also how that compares with Ling. So that's my next step. I'm gonna do that right now. Okay, good news. Rosetta Stone has plenty of Greek, has 12 units of Greek with 4 lessons each. That's a lot. That is a solid course. It's probably more than Ling has, just because Rosetta Stone is old and the Rosetta Stone's content is there. It's just a matter of like what the package looks like. So as I'm editing this, I said that really weird. What I meant by that was that Rosetta Stone is one of the OG language learning resources. It's been around forever. So the course, the Greek course itself, has not changed since 80s, 90s. I don't remember when Rosetta Stone started. But it is like a tried and true course. Meanwhile, Ling is brand new and therefore, I don't want to say less reliable, but more so that I would assume that Rosetta Stone's courses are more in depth than a modern language learning course. That's all I meant to say. Like, you know, over the decades, Rosetta Stone has switched from CD-ROMs to an app and online access just because they've changed with the times to stay current. But that's all I meant. I wanted to clarify. I said that really weird. I'm gonna try out Rosetta Stone and Ling for my Greek. Yay. Now that I've decided that Rosetta Stone and Ling are going to be my starting positions for Greek, my next step is to try them out and just take some data and, you know, not necessarily jump in and assume that everything's going to be amazing. I'm going to think about if I enjoy it, if I am learning what I want to learn, if there's anything in particular that's really standing out to me as really good, as really bad. What's really difficult for me, because a lot of times with new languages, like you'll come across a new language and then you'll realize that there's some concepts that you really need to like work really hard. Like for example, if I'm having a really, really hard time with the vocabulary, I might decide to do the search again, but do it specifically for Greek vocabulary and take that step back. It really all depends how like the next couple of days go. Maybe even after today, I might, you know, after I turn off this video, I totally might just like pull up Rosetta Stone and pull up Ling and then like try them out and see what happens. I also do want to mention, caveat here, is that Rosetta Stone and Ling are both paid language learning apps. I personally have access to both just because I've invested in a lot of language learning apps over the years. I've also partnered with a lot of language learning apps, so I have access to a lot more resources than most people. If you decide to use my language app search, I don't want you to be surprised if they do cost money. If they cost money, 9 times out of 10, they're worth it. And I actually, in my language app reviews, I also mention if I think they're worth the price tag. If I don't think they're worth the price tag, I'm gonna tell you. Because yes, I do believe that it's worth investing in your language learning. I don't want you to hold yourself back because you should be able to learn it for free. Because I've definitely done that and it's just, it doesn't help anything. So there you have it. I'm super excited to start learning Greek and I'm excited to see what this new language family is like because I don't know anything about Greek except the phrase, it's all Greek to me, which I'm gonna try really, really hard not to use. I want to. I love puns. It's very punny, but I'm gonna refrain from using that. I might have to vent. I don't know. This is my fair warning, I guess. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to learn more about my process of how to build a language learning strategy and how to respond to language learning journey, please let me know in the comment section below. If this is helpful to you, then I would love to share this process with you more. Otherwise, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video all about learning languages every Wednesday. Bye.